Here we are at Athelney. As usual, there's nobody here. It's a lovely, very early spring day. Winter technically, I suppose. We're in February. Let me just talk you around what we've got here. I'm actually stood on one peak at Athelney. There are actually two peaks. Peak is probably a bit of an exaggeration because they're very low on the Somerset levels. This peak that I'm stood on is the site of where Alfred, King Alfred, had an abbey built after he'd defeated the Vikings. And there is a monument here which the camera will just pan round to, and that was built to celebrate that. Now further in the distance you'll see that there's another peak. The land goes across, drops a little bit, and then goes back up again. That is a very important site. That is where King Alfred in 878 took refuge once the Vikings had in effect really taken over Wessex, and it's from this site that he staged his comeback, his reconquest of Wessex, if you like. From here he went to Egbert's Stone, and then on to a place called Ely, and then on to the great battle of Eddington, or Ethandune, which is right across in Wiltshire, and it's there that he defeated Guthrum and the Vikings, had Guthrum and his key people taken all the way back from Eddington to roughly over there, a place called Alla, little church, which I don't think you can see from here, and had him baptised and in effect subjugated. And Guthrum at that point went back to Chippenham, which was his base, then went to Cirencester, and then eventually they settled, that band of Vikings settled in East Anglia. Now if we return back over to this position, you will see right in the distance there a little hill. I hope you can see it, a little hill with a church on the top. That is what is known as Burrow Mump, just immediately adjacent to the settlement of Burrow Bridge. And it's thought, and I consider it quite likely, that would have been used in King Alfred's defences at the time. It's a very obvious mound which would have been highly strategic in my opinion, and would have been used at least for advanced signalling, I would have thought. Looking around here, I think it's wonderful that there's nobody here. You can get a real sense of history at this important place, but by the same token, I think it's sad that more people obviously don't seem to know about it here, and thanks must be given to the landowner for opening this up. Otherwise, like many places which are important in England, you wouldn't be able to even get there. So thanks to that person. And if you go back in early episodes of Time Team, you'll see lots of work that's been done here, and obviously the landowner gave permission to that. So we learned an awful lot through that as well. Well, here we are. We've walked across to the second peak. If you're here, it's the most distant peak from the farmhouse, and this is the site where Athelney's camp, fortification, not really known precisely its layout, but it was here. And if we have a look around, if we look this way, you can still see Burrow Mump in the distance above the trees, and if you look back you can see the monument where we were earlier. Hopefully that will give you some orientation. If we go the other way, you'll get an idea of why this was the Isle of Athelney. It's been not the wettest winter. We've had a fair bit of rainfall, but it is known to flood here. It is the Somerset levels, and in King Alfred's time this would have been genuinely an island, and that was part of the secret of where he was. It was something that you would have need to have known in detail in order to find him and attack him, and he obviously managed to survive here. If we look over here, you'll see a church in the distance. Now that's East Ling, and it's known that Athelney, the Isle of Athelney, was connected to East Ling by a causeway. Now we're not quite sure whether the causeway went back to the time of the fortification here, or whether it was to do with a later fortification at Athelney, or even indeed the abbey that we've just talked about at Athelney. But there was a fortification connecting with East Ling, and we also know at East Ling that there was another fortification there, and the outlines of that are proving to be a little bit elusive. So this is quite a very atmospheric place. It's one of the most, in my opinion, the most important sites in the whole of England, and it's beautiful. Come and visit. And it might just be worth adding that this is called Athelney, and it was called Athelney by the time that Alfred got here, as far as we can tell. And it's thought that the word Athelney preserves the term Aeth, A-E-T-H, which is a royal designation. And it's even thought that before Alfred got here that there was a hermit or monk or a religious observer of royal descent who had some sort of foundation here, in maybe going back a couple of hundred years before Alfred came here. Maybe that was why Alfred came here. There are other areas of high ground around, like Barrow Mump, as we've just said. I mean, this one seems particularly suitable because it's quite large. I suppose for a camp it could be larger, but there was a reason why he chose this site, and maybe it was because it had some sort of royal or religious significance.